Okay, so we are live today with Jessica Janniere. Hi.
Hey,
Um, I'm so excited that we are here doing this session today, and I can't wait to get into it. But before we start, I just wanted to explain the heart behind Eve Within Sessions, why you and I are here today doing this. So, the heart behind Eve Within Sessions is to build community between leaders in various industries, as well as people who may not be sure what their purpose is, and everyone who falls in between on that spectrum. I know that at the conferences that I host, everyone loves networking, everyone loves the events, but after the event is over, the magic and the connections that people have built kind of die out because there's no, follow through and things like that. So the goal is to build community that is constantly growing and constantly becoming deeper throughout the year, and not just doing a massive campaign to get people to come to the event itself. You know, so that is the hope. That is the plan here. So let's jump in and talk about you. How are you doing today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. Doing really good. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the field that you're in.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Imani. Really appreciate you and your leadership and all that you do to just really add value to the marketplace. I see you as someone who is not just a leader, but developing other leaders. And so I really appreciate you for this opportunity. And for those that don't know me, hello, my name is Jessica Janniere, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I am a wife, a mother of three, and two of them are teenagers. So that's an exciting journey. I am an author, a motivational speaker, and an entrepreneur. And my goal is to inspire and equip people to look up and beyond their negative past and their negative current circumstances. I find those are the two areas that can keep us from really truly walking in success.
That's right. So how would you describe your personality type?
Oh, my personality, I'm just weird. I'm naturally, I'm weird. I'm naturally an introvert. I'm one of those people that if I go into a crowded room, I kind of shy to myself. It doesn't come naturally for me to I'm not the person that's going to work the room
Hmm.
unless I make a conscious effort to do that. It doesn't come naturally for me to initiate conversation with people. I generally don't like to be put on the spot. I prefer to remain in the background, which is kind of odd because I'm in the forefront all the time now as a speaker and as an author. So God surely has a sense of humor because naturally I'm an introvert, but I do have extrovert qualities. And that just means that there are times where I'm comfortable being a little bit more free spirited and just kind of being a little bit more open. I do love adventure. I love people. I love connecting with people. And I just love having a really great time and living life to the fullest. So it's a combination of both, but naturally, I'm more introverted. That was a mouthful, I know, but I'm weird.
I've actually gotten that response a lot. So there are a lot of people who force themselves to come out of their shell for the sake of their purpose. So I find that I find that extremely interesting.
It is
So
interesting.
you kind of touched on it a little bit in terms of how you do motivational speaking. So that means you have to actually speak to people. But how does your personality type tie into how you do business, how you handle, clients or even the people that you mentor and lead, or even those who you are writing for, the audience of your books?
Sure, that's a really great question. I think what has helped me is that I have learned that at the end of the day, it's not about me, that I need to kind of get out of my own way. And if I have something of value, if I have a story, if I have a testimony, if I have a service or a product or something that is going to add value to people, then I cannot get all caught up in my feelings and how I'm this shy person and how I'm uncomfortable. I need to develop the skills that will help me to be more effective in providing what I know is going to be a blessing to people. And that goes to one of the things that I'm really committed to doing, which is personal development. That has really helped me to be effective in my business life and even in my personal life, to be a better wife, a better mother, a better um, woman, a better business person, a leader, committing to my own personal growth and development. And when I do that, my personality just becomes you just become more authentic, because yes, you're learning skills, but there are things that naturally come to you that God is going to use in your field, that will stand out. Like for me, I love people. I love to see people succeed. I love to see people go from one place to a higher level. And so it's easy for me to encourage and to love on people when I remember that at the end of the day, Jessica, is not about you. It's
Mhm.
about what you're bringing to the marketplace, what you're bringing to people.
That's right. So, what's one thing that people don't know or consider about entering the field that you're in? I remember we spoke recently, and I think I compartmentalized them for you. I think I was like, well, you can choose between being an author or being uh, a motivational speaker to answer the question. But if I recall, I think you began your response with the fact that it's all ministry, and you were talking about one thing people don't consider when entering ministry, period.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. At the end of the day, regardless of whether I'm operating a traditional business, whether I am maybe volunteering in an organization, if I could be in a direct sales company, I have looked at all of the different positions and projects and responsibilities as these are my ministries. These are the things that God has trusted me with to make an impact in people's lives. And when I do that, um, I've seen my posture change. Again, it becomes not about Jessica, but it becomes about how can I add value to people? How can I become more effective as a leader to bring more value to the marketplace, to make a greater impact on people's lives? So I would definitely say that that has been a big component. At the end of the day, it's looking at it as you have a platform that you're entrusted with. Are you going to use that platform for your own glory, for your own selfish reasons, or are you going to really see it as something that God has entrusted you with and see it as your ministry, regardless of what title comes with that, or if you don't have a title? Sometimes we get too stuck on titles also. And I have found that it's not about the title, it's about the character behind the person who is entrusted with the title. And that's a very important thing.
I love that. So the character of the person who's entrusted with the title. I think that's amazing. Especially when you see, like you said, people pursue titles wholeheartedly, but then their character, can't sustain them in the position. I think that's very powerful. What's something that comes easy to you with your business and with ministry?
I would definitely say serving people and encouraging people. I have always been known as someone who encourages people, and I've always loved to serve. I can think back to my teen years, where I was constantly volunteering for different organizations, looking for ways to just give back. A lot of it had helped me as a teen to stay out of trouble and to kind of stay off the streets and just find something productive to do. But behind all of that, there was a sincerity in my heart where I really wanted to find ways to add value to people. And so I can go back as far as my teen years, and I've seen this common thread that I love to serve, I love to give back, I love to add value and encouraging people. So many people, even those that kind of look together and kind of look like they have it made or they've arrived, so many of them struggle with doubt and discouragement. And an encouraging word can really go a long way. I have seen the impact of how one encouraging word can really change the direction of a person's life. And so I really strive to make it my business to constantly push out encouragement, flush out encouragement from inside of me into the world, because you just never know where that seed is going to land and how it's going to grow. So I would say those are my two strong points.
As you were talking, I thought about just over the course of any given year, since meeting you, um, I can recall quite a few times where you just randomly send a text or a message, and I don't know if Jesus told you something, but it would always be timely. And, if it wasn't specific, it would always be very warm. It would kind of feel like a virtual hug, if you will. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I really appreciate. I've noticed that that's something that you actually have to have a gift for. I don't think it's just something that like people can do well on their own. Um, and I think we've all heard tons of people say, oh, I thought about you the other day. But they never reached out though. They just, thought about you the other day. So I think that gift that you have of encouraging is pretty amazing. I've been on the receiving end of it, and I think my favorite part about it is that it's genuine, is that it's, from your heart, and it's not in an effort to do anything. It's not a means to an end or any of those things. It really is just who you are. So that's something that I really admire.
Yay. Well, thank you for saying that. All glory to God. That really encourages my heart. Thank you.
You're welcome. So something that I found interesting for people who work for themselves specifically is that when we come across a challenge, we can't just stop working for the day to address the challenge. We actually have to do both at the same time. And then depending on how many roles you have, so many, challenges pop up in different areas of life. And like I said, there's no pause button. So would you like to share an example of a challenge, or when you face challenge in general, how you work through it while at the same time, still fulfilling your roles or, your to-do list for the day?
Sure. That's a really great question. I know what has helped me is really knowing what my priorities are on any given day. I have come to a place in my life where I feel, not just feel, but I see that I'm way more balanced than when I first started this whole journey of being an entrepreneur, moving into ministry, trying to balance all of these hats. There is like, what's important when you first start sometimes, but you kind of get lost in the busyness, in the midst of trying to shuffle everything. And I have learned to really identify what my priorities are and how to make sure that my activity is in alignment with my priorities. I also have learned to manage myself in the time that I have, because there's no such thing as time management. We cannot manage time. Time is moving regardless of what we do, and there's just no way to manage time. But what we can do is we can manage ourselves in the time that we have. And we do that by identifying what the priorities are and making sure that the activity that we do each and every day aligns with those priorities. One other thing I would like to add to that, Imani, is a lot of our challenges in general, what I'm seeing is there are so many distractions. We live in a world that is bombarding us with constant distractions, whether it be it social media, be it just people calling on us. I mean, the list of distractions is endless, and we really have to know what our distractions are, identify them, and then be very conscious about finding ways to diminish them and deter them and to work over them, override them. So distractions are a really big thing. And I struggle with distractions also, because I can be on my A game. I have my goals in front of me, everything's going, and then I have 4 or 5 things popping up. You got a notification here, somebody's calling you here, a text is coming here, somebody left a note over here, and it's like, okay, do I need to answer these things right now? How important is it? And are they helping me to reach the goal? And to find that healthy balance where you're not neglecting valuable relationships and people, but you're also monitoring your time and your space and not allowing these things that many times are distractions to take you off course. So definitely distractions are a big challenge.
I love what you said about people working really hard to try and manage time, but if we can manage ourselves within the time that we have, we'll find success in that. I think that's very powerful. And it changes how you look at things like your schedule, building a schedule and building a to-do list. Um, and like you said, it really prompts us to create a priority list. I don't know that that's something that people necessarily do. I think just as tasks pour in, they kind of just jumble it all together and it's like, I hope I finish it. So I think that's really key. And I'm definitely taking some mental notes on some of the things you're saying about striking up a balance. So something that I would like to touch on is the book that you've written and your personal story. Can you tell us a little bit about your story and how it relates to the book, as well as how it's kind of morphed into Look Up and Beyond as a movement?
Sure, that's a really great question. The concept of look up and beyond really came from my life being a life filled with a lot of adversity and having to gain a vision that can help me see beyond a very painful past and even circumstances that I was facing that made it seem like I was just not making progress or that I was not going to really be successful. Statistically speaking, number one, I should not be here. Number two, I should not even be a productive person, be someone who is successful. And I guess the first thing we need to look at is what is success, right? Success is defined in so many different ways by different people. And I really believe that success is when we are in the will of God and we're living out the purpose that He has for our lives. And that looks different for different people. And so I knew that God's purpose for me was to write my book, to share my story after um, having this very colorful journey. I just felt compelled and I knew that God was saying, write this book. And so my story, just kind of in a short version of it, is I was born in Germany on a small farm. Um, Lived there for 6 years of my life. My grandmother was actually raising me because my mom was just kind of into the whole party lifestyle. She really didn't want to raise me. She wasn't prepared. She tried to have an abortion while she was pregnant with me. She was homeless for some time. And she was just really rebellious. And I ended up living with my grandmother, and around the age of 6, my mom came back to get me, and she was married now. And I had two half siblings. I had a half sister and a half brother. Now, I never called them half brother or half sister when we were growing up. But they came and they said, well, we're moving. We're going to go to the United States. My mother married an African American man, so my siblings were biracial, and we moved to Queens, New York. And it was interesting because when we got to Queens, New York, I didn't even know the language. I didn't speak English. I didn't know anything about American culture. And I ended up living with I guess, an all Black family, living in an all Black community. The schools that I went to were predominantly Black. And that caused some challenges for a little white German girl who didn't understand English and who was now really experiencing culture shock and feeling like, wow, everywhere I go, I stand out and I'm being bullied. I have mobs of kids chasing me after school every single day. This went on for years. And as the story and as my life moved forward, there were a lot of different challenges. As the years went by, we lived in a home that was filled with domestic violence. My stepfather was an alcoholic. There was a lot of abuse. I mean, At the age of 15, I survived being raped by a neighbor and his cousin. And after that, I was extremely suicidal and depressed. And then I'm in this country all of these years and I don't have any family. My mother was the only family that I had. Um, and our relationship was very tainted and very damaged. And so going through these things and then coming out of them, sometimes you can kind of look together and you can have the drive to do better than what you went through, but you're not really sure how that's going to unfold. And so I knew that I needed to write this book by the time I was in college. I was a single mom. I got married, and it was nothing but the grace of God that I was able to really change the trajectory of my life
Mm-hmm.
by looking to do positive things. I was always very driven in terms of I'm not going to be a failure like a lot of the people that I saw around me as I was growing up. And I had this drive to do better. So I wrote the book, My Colored World, very colorful story, touches on a lot of social issues, a lot of emotional things, spiritual things. And as I was writing the book, I saw that my life was this constant challenge of looking up and beyond what I see, beyond what people said, beyond my circumstances, that I had to find a vision. I had to find something that would give me hope, something that I could work towards. Ultimately, my looking up and beyond is I look to my faith, my relationship with Christ. That is ultimately what this lifestyle movement is for me. Is I look, what is it that you have for me, God? What is your purpose and your plan and your will for my life? And that has really helped me tremendously, not just with Look Up and Beyond in the book, but with everyday life, especially when adversity comes. Because adversity will come, and sometimes it'll come hard, and you can fall out, and you sometimes you just feel like you're not going to be able to get back up and move forward.
That's right. Thanks so much for sharing so much of your story. I think you touched on some really key things that I can't wait to actually watch this again and just look at that. But I believe you touched on a few lessons already, but can you share a little bit more about how your dream has caused you to grow as a person?
Oh, yeah. Anytime God plants a dream within us, it's going to require a lot of faith, a lot of faith. It's going to require that we surrender to His ways and not our own, because the unfolding of the dream will not happen the way that we thought. It's just not going to. There will be detours. Many times we see successful people who are, quote unquote, who've made it, and we don't see the story behind the story, the hours of work while people were sleeping, the tears that were cried, the failures that they had to bounce back from. So there's always a story behind the story. And what I've seen is that initially my dream was not in alignment with God's. I wanted to do other things. It wasn't until I really began to develop a personal relationship with God that I saw that He had a specific dream for me. And in order for it to be fulfilled, I had to really activate my faith and I had to trust Him along the journey. And so, regardless of what field you're in, your age, your background, the dream that God has planted in you, it's there to serve a greater purpose for the kingdom of God. And on top of that, it will require you to really activate your faith and to live that out each and every day. And I would say that would be where I have had to grow the most, is to trust God's plan for the unfolding of the dream and not how I think it should be.
That's right. So good. Every time you talk, I have to take a break and like let it marinate. So good. Um, all right. So, do you have a personal takeaway that you would like for viewers to walk away from this session with?
I would say the concept of look up and beyond, just to remember that, to make that a lifestyle. The concept, that coined phrase, look up and beyond, it's not just this cliche saying. It's a movement, it's a lifestyle, it's a practical way of living beyond today and seeing a better tomorrow. It's when hardships come, you look up and beyond to a vision that God has given you. When trials and tests come, you look up and beyond to where your help comes from. When temptations come, you look up and you look beyond what's in front of you, and you stay focused and grounded on the course that you're on. And so I really believe that look up and beyond it's a practical way to go from where we are to where we need to be to fulfill our purpose.
That's right. Something that you brought to mind that I would like to ask you, because I think another one of your gifts is practicality. You're very big on breaking things down into things that the average person, whether you're coming off the street, whether you've been saved 50 years, each person can take something away and put it into practice today. So to, I guess, introduce the question, E-Within is designed to help people grace themselves for where they currently are, but immerse themselves in community with the resources and events and motivation to get where God ultimately wants them to go. So E-Within is really a phrase that is meant to capture that struggle between, who I used to be, who I currently am, who I want to be, all the nuances of that. And, making sure that though I'm full of faith, I'm not being lazy. And then also, it's so easy to just be full of what you said, busyness, and overwhelmed with your schedule that you squeeze God just completely out of the picture. So, E-Within is basically that process of really grappling with all that, trying to find that balance that you mentioned earlier. So, do you have any insight for a few practical tips, maybe 3 or so, that people can use to balance E-Within, that they can use to, look up and beyond? Because, we are human, we do have roles, we do have a schedule, but we do have a God who expects us to walk in relationship with Him and be obedient to Him. And it can be hard, I believe, for people to figure out how to do both, on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so good. And it's so, so important because that struggle is real. It is really real. And it's like you can get to a place where you either over spiritualize everything or you're just far removed from God, and many times even unintentionally. And so you're doing everything in your own strength, in your own flesh, and you may even be thinking about God, but you're so far removed from His presence. And so, like you said, it's getting to that balanced place where you are living your faith and action together day to day, doing that with wisdom. Now, you said 3 tips. I would say the top 3 things that have helped me, number one, is commit to a daily devotion. Commit to a daily devotion. Shut the phone off, shut the computer off. Every distraction that you know is going to really be pulling at you, shut it off. And commit, even if it's 15 minutes a day. I mean, God can make 15 minutes feel like 3 hours because God is good like that, and God knows our heart. And when He sees that we put the work in and the effort in to pursue Him and to hear from Him and to just be in His presence, I believe that He really does bless us in amazing ways. So commit to a personal devotion, however that may look for you. 15 minutes, you have to download an app on your phone. I mean, even pray and ask God specifically, God, I'm working 2 jobs, I'm a single parent, or God, I'm doing this and this and this. I'm busy for you, but show me what I need to carve out and take off the plate temporarily so that I can spend time at your feet, so I can spend time with you. So many times we just need to ask and we'll have an answer. So commit to a personal devotion. Number 2 is identify what your top priorities are. Your top 3 priorities. I know that for me, my personal walk with God, my marriage, and my family, and then my next priority is everything after. Right now, it's my health because I've been more proactive in staying healthier, getting more exercise, and just having a healthier lifestyle. But you have to identify what are the three top priorities that I need to focus on. No more than four. And make sure, which is the next thing, that you have a schedule, a planner. You work from a planner and you start to take your priorities and you plan them into this calendar. And you say that this is the priorities right here. And then anything after that, you plug in where you have empty spaces. That's going to hurt for many people because it will require you to say no to some good things. But sometimes we have to say no to good things so we can get to the great things. We have to say no to good so we can become great. And that's a process and that's a challenge and that's hard, especially for people that like to be busy, that like to feel productive. Sometimes getting to the great isn't always noticed. So, daily devotion, identify your top 3 or 4 priorities, and then have a personal planner that you're planning everything related to those priorities into. And then you'd fill in from there. But those three things have been so important for me to manage my life and to not just manage my responsibilities, but to be happy and joyful while I'm doing it so that I'm not burning out and I'm not stressed and I'm not frustrated trying to figure out what do I do, or how do I do it. Those things have really helped me a lot.
Thank you so much for sharing. I actually think I'm going to go buy a planner today. That's
I
so
thought you
cute.
had one. I'm shocked that
I used to have one, and then little by little, I think I just got consumed with other things. And especially when your planner is for the year, I think the new year came and I didn't get a new planner for that year.
you
So
gotcha.
I need to do that. All right, so the last thing is, do you have any events or projects that are coming up this year where we can support you and, um, you know, where we can support you and also people can connect with you personally?
Yes, sure. I am on Facebook, Instagram. I'm starting to do Twitter now. It's interesting. Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those. Jessica Janniere, Jessica. Janniere is spelled Janniere. And so feel free to connect with me on any of those social media avenues. I do have an event coming up. Look Up and Beyond is hosting a faith-based mini conference, which we're really excited about, and that will be held on Saturday, May 7th in the Canarsie area of Brooklyn, New York. It's only from 9:30 to 1:30, but in that time, we're going to have raffles, we're going to have a light lunch, we'll have some segments that I'll be facilitating where we're going to touch on some really, really good, I believe, foundational things that will be um, that will equip us to really walk in success in the direction that God is calling us to do. And then the other thing is this conference is open to men and women ages 18 and above. There is limited seating. All of the information would be on Look Up and Beyond. The time is now .eventbrite. So there are still some tickets left. We're going to have a special gift and treat surprise for the mothers in the house. And again, it's limited seating. But what I love about this event is that we are going to not just identify what God is calling you to do, but we're going to talk about the things that may be stopping you from moving forward in that. Many people know that they need to write a book, or they need to quit their job and start a business, or they need to compartmentalize the business and work a job, or they know that they need to spend more time with their partner or do different things with their kid. Many people, I believe most people know what they should be doing,
Mm-hmm.
but they're either afraid to do it, or they don't have the resources, or there's something blocking them that they subconsciously are not aware of. And so we're going to be digging through some really good things to identify those blockades. We're going to make peace with our past. We're going to embrace our current circumstances. And we're going to have practical tools and tips that will help us to know our value and to look up and beyond each and every day. So I'm really excited about it. We have some great sponsors that have been supporting the event. Again, once you connect on Look Up and Beyond, the time is now .eventbrite.com and all of the social media avenues, you'll get all the information. And also we have workshop facilitators that are coming as guests that will be facilitating 45-minute sessions on health and wellness, love and relationships, and what's the other one? Wealth building and money management. And all of these things will be with a God-centered, faith-based focus. And we're really, really excited about just the value that it's going to add to people's lives. So thank you for asking for that.
You're welcome. For anyone who's watching, we are going to put the details in the description below. So her social media handle, the link to the event, so that, you know, if you didn't catch it, or if you're scrambling to write it down, it'll just be there for you. Jessica, if people are having their own events and they want to reach out to you to speak, how can they get in contact with you?
They can email me at lookupandbeyond@yahoo.com. That would be the best way to get in touch with me. Also, if they go to lookupandbeyond.com, my website, there is a contact form there, and that'll come straight to me.
Okay, awesome. Well, I would like to say thank you so much for carving out this time, putting me in your planner today to do this session. I definitely feel that though I host them as a resource for other people, I walk away with so much. I walk away encouraged and inspired myself. So thank you so much for coming on to do this session today.
Oh, it's my pleasure and my honor, and just keep doing what you're doing. I'm really proud of you and the work that you're doing, and it's my joy. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, viewers, so you can connect with Jessica through the description below. And in the meantime, we are going to say goodbye to everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody. Okay.